That's kind of the intrigue to Big Mom is because now the only problem is my habitual bitch.
How big is Big Mom?
It's how big is Big Mom? How big is everybody? But if you establish that what everyone's actual size is, and she was legitimately a giant, like what's the easier way to say this without sounding like an idiot? Kaido and Big Mom are huge. We know that for a fact. We expect that. We know they are bigger than Shanks and Blackbeard. So while Shanks and Blackbeard are still terrifying in their own right, it's a difference when Big Mom and Kaido are upwards of 10 feet tall, and they're just these massive figures. They're massively powerful. They're throwing out lightning bolts, shooting fire, all this crazy shit. So if you even go one step further than that, and you create this giant who's, what are giants? What's the tallest giant we have on file? If Oda would ever tell me.
Absolutely. I don't know.
What's the multiple
choice?
Yeah. How big are we assuming? Let's just throw out a number. Like, how big are we assuming the two on Little Garden were? 100 feet tall?
About 100 feet, yeah.
All right. So let's say you have a 100-foot tall giant who is legitimately emperor level. Like, how do you beat that? That's terrifying.
Yeah, you don't,
And so I think giants are, and I don't ever want to discredit what Oda does because he's in a realm of it's just him, so you can't like how do you knock Michael Jordan in like reference to basketball? Like, homie, you're better than everybody who's ever done this. Like, how am I going to tell you? Well, you could have done this differently. Like, fam, you were the greatest ever. When with Oda, because I feel like it is so much more story-centric, you lose some of those moments where it's like, yeah, just like a fucking giant, but literally beating the shit out of people at 100 feet tall and just stepping on shit. Like, those are things we might not ever see because they don't actually contribute to the storytelling of giants.
Yeah.
Which I think he wants to do more than he just wants to introduce this fucking crazy. Like, imagine if Weeble was a giant.
He might be. I don't think he is. I think he's just a tall human.
How big is a tall human? Is he shorter than Kaido or taller than Big Mom?
It's shorter than both, right? Like technically, Doflamingo's a tall human.
Doflamingo's 10 feet, I think.
I thought, like 9 or 10 feet, something like that.
Yeah, he's a tall bastard. And wears heels.
I mean, Katakuri's pretty tall too.
I think Katakuri's also like 9, 10 feet.
But like, also, like, all of Big Mom's kids are half giant, right? Like,
it's what we assume, we think, maybe. Who the fuck really knows?
Yeah.
Who the fuck really knows? I might be 10 feet tall in One Piece, and then one day I might be 6 foot.
Yeah, it all depends on who's drawing it that day. Which assistant is drawing Kaido?
Like, it's just, Oda, we love you. But that's all I want. That could be our chapter next week. You could literally just release the index of everyone's height in One Piece.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would be okay with that. Fuck
yeah, we could get like a help book on that.
Yeah, who's the tallest person? I'm presuming those two giants, Little Garden, are the tallest in One Piece, but at least, I don't count Oars or
what about Oz.
I don't count Oz either.
Like the continent movers.
Yeah, and like that's
Oars is technically Oars should be counted. The continent movers should be counted.
My only problem with them is, and weird analogy before we got to get out of here. I don't count Reggie Gigas in the world of Pokemon because he falls into this same lane of to me, he's like Earth Arceus, where I don't count Arceus. I know he's there, but I just don't really acknowledge it because he'll never come into until Pokemon's ready to quote unquote end or get to that point, he'll never be introduced. And Reggie Gigas is literally, homie moved the world around. And so I'm like, he's in such a absurd realm of like, homie, how is Reggie Gigas in your Pokeball? Like, how is Reggie Gigas allowed to be on your team? You know how big that son of a bitch is supposed to be? Like, I don't count him. I count the Reggies, like Steel, Ice, but I just don't count Reggie Gigas. He's just he's a little too mythical for me, and so I don't count the continent movers because I'm presuming there's only those two that we will get to see, and maybe reference of a third. I'm presuming Rock had a continent mover on his crew.
Yeah.
But they're just too out there. So I don't. So I'm counting the two giants and Little Garden as my current tallest people in One Piece.
Yeah, 74 feet for Dory. Brogy is 69 feet.
Oh, so midget.
Dory is the
tallest man in One Piece
for right now. Haj Ruden's a close second.
How tall is Haj Ruden?
72 feet.
That's fair.
And then Loki is a character that we have not gotten yet. Oh no, he's a Prince Loki.
Whoever the fuck.
We'll get him at some point.
At some point. Just remember, Oda, that's all you gotta do next week. You could just drop an index of how everyone's height. I'd be cool with that. Fuck a chapter.
It'll be at the end of One Piece. Like that'll be One Piece's last chapter, and then a bonus chapter, and it tells you how tall all thousands of his characters are, and who the shortest is. Like the shortest Tontada to the tallest giant.
I can't handle.
Wait, just Oars is 219 feet tall.
Yeah, they're too big. Like
a little Oars.
Oars
Jr.
doesn't. Oars is another one of those. If you want to be honest about it,
technically, Little Oars Jr. Was 196 feet tall.
Now I'm gonna end on this note.
He's the same size as the Colossal Titan. He's 60 meters tall.
Now I want you to this is your homework. Everyone listening.
Okay.
Go find out how big Marineford is. And you just said Oars was how tall?
Well, he is 196 feet tall.
All right. So now go look at how big Marineford is, and then I want you to take 196 foot of oars, and I want you to imagine, all right, how many Marinefords or how many oars does it take to fill Marineford? And look how many steps that motherfucker got before he fell. And then I want you to look at when Whitebeard jumped, a singular jump from a 70-year-old man, and he went from where his ship used to be damn near to the plaza. And I want you to tell me Oars was actually correctly sized. And then you will all understand why I bitch and have so much mental trauma from the height of One Piece.